Hey there, and welcome back to Remnant. Today we're using the Valorous beads, the new amulet that came with the DLC. It's basically another one of the amulets that goes really well with the restriction cord. So the lower your HP is, the more benefits you're going to get. And if you notice, we're cruising along pretty quick, and even for being at 50% HP, you may notice that we were able to take a few hits before we really got low, right? So we actually managed to have a pretty high damage reduction while cruising along pretty fast, and we've got a pretty fast melee attack speed as well, because that's basically what we focused on. Run fast and then hit them a lot with a little sword, because that's really just what I felt like doing. Once I started feeling the speed, that's what I leaned into. That's the name of the game. Is it super efficient? I mean, I'll be straight up with you. I always try to be pretty honest with these things. It's not really. I'm playing in Apocalypse right now. We're crushing through little guys, no problem, right? Because that's just, that's just how it is at the lower levels, huh? But really, I've not used it against a boss at all because, frankly, it's just not going to be great against a boss. But it is kind of fun to do this different, maybe if you want to do a lower difficulty and have something that's really fast and durable for a lower level difficulty, this could be something that you can do, because it can hit kind of hard when you're actually wailing into an enemy. And we've got 45% extra movement speed, so we're cruising along. Like I said, look at these shots. They're not doing much to us at all. We also have the dog. I'm running challengers primary, handlers a secondary, because that handler secondary is giving us another 10% movement speed. And then I typically just like the challenger on the primary whenever I use the restriction cord, because it gives us that die hard perk, so we can get ourselves picked back up. But really, if you wanted to, run the handler as your primary, and the dog will do it too. It just takes a relic slot, which right now we're not really using it, because it's like my other restriction cord setups where we have the broken heart on now, which gives us extra health regen when below 50% health, which we are always at thanks to the restriction cord. So really, we can just stack some passive regen there. And if I really wanted to, I could put the dog with the support skill on, which is what I was doing earlier. That gives you some more just kind of regen when you're close to him, and activating the skill makes you faster as well. I did put the attack dog on though, because I wanted him to hit a little bit harder, since I'm already kind of iffy on damage stuff. And then I can boost my damage some if I wanted as well. Now, if I ever feel like I'm really getting kind of swarmed or something, I have the Song of Aether on there, just because, slow is it's so good against, enemies as far as big groups of guys or elites. It completely locks them down, and we're swinging so fast, we're just going to completely unload into them with these attack speeds and stuff without them being able to do much about it. But the thing about the Valorous beads is I don't know how good it really is. It's not bad, right? So what it does, as your HP gets lower, you gain damage reduction, you gain movement speed. And then when you're below 50%, that bonus doubles. So right now we get a 20% bonus to our movement speed, a 20% bonus to our damage reduction. So in theory, the way I could do this is I put on the restriction cord, keeps me at 50%. Put on the Valorous beads, and then I have good damage reduction for being at 50% HP, and we're faster for getting in and out of trouble. Because normally whenever I do a restriction cord setup, half of my loadout when I go to my rings is bent around damage reduction, because I'll put on an amulet like the Downward Spiral, which is a lot of damage bonuses, and then I have to put on two different rings, like the Rusted Heirloom or Hardened Coil, in order to have a really high amount of damage reduction, just so I survive, because I'm only at 70 to 90 HP, and that's not a lot of HP for Apocalypse, right? But the beads, since they automatically give us damage reduction for being at 50%, in theory, I don't need to use any rings. I still did. I put on one ring, and just so I could be at a really high amount, which I'm at 71 right now, and I'm at a light equipment load, which is honestly really kind of solid, because my stamina management is pretty great for being at a light load. I have a lot of points in stamina and stamina recovery anyways. And then on top of that, we're just so friggin' fast, man. It's so satisfying. And even a lot of those guys, I have nothing into range damage. One crossbow bolt to the head is more than enough to take out most of these guys, right? Like, I mean, look at that. Boop. Because they're trash guys. Good gunplay, good, good gunplay, and some headshots and stuff like that is going to do you just fine. I could swap around some of my other rings because a couple of them are bent around my melee attack speed and stuff. So I could swap those out to do some more generic damage or range stuff, right? Wouldn't be too bad. But I figured melee damage stuff would be nice because the mutator in our weapon is the Vengeance one, I believe it was called, which gives us 50% more melee damage for being below 50% HP. And then because it's at rank 10 and we're below 50%, we gain like another 15% critical chance. So, I mean, if you notice, we're swinging fast, and a lot of these melee hits are critical hits. And then our other rings are kind of feeding into that as well, as far as like just swing really fast and do stuff like that. This will be a little interesting. Let's use our relic. That's going to give us stacks of bulwark and stuff too. I'm going to have to roll that. Yeah, I'm okay. This will be a little interesting. Let's juggernaut it. I don't really have any lifesteal going on, do I? How much is this even doing to him? Not very much. Oh, yeah, that was too much damage for me. Even though I have, again, like, what's it, a crap ton of damage reduction, it's not nearly enough whenever we really get hard because our HP is just too low. We'll have to rely on our range stuff in order to deal. Oh, there he is. Ooh. I mean, really, considering that's a pretty big hit to get hit by, right? We were pretty okay, honestly. Let's use our relic to heal up. And then reload you. Get some more hits. Oh, look at that recovery. Dodge. Boom. Dodge. Don't dodge. Boom. Come on. There you go. Yeah, pretty fast attack speed. Yeah, so like, the beads, like I said, gets us up to that 20% bonus. On the top left, it says damage reduction, movement speed by 20%. If you look on the left side, right, we have a weight of 33. So we're on a light load thanks to having strong back as well, right? Our damage reduction, 67% baseline, 28% kind of like armor damage reduction. Our total amount, 76% damage reduction. That's with one stack of bulwark because we had our Die Hard perk trigger. So now we've got a ton of damage reduction. And that's really coming from three main things, right? The first one is Beads of the Valorous. Restriction Cord gives us another 15%. And then the Goal Signet. So increased damage reduction by 10%. And then each weight reduction class above light reduces that reduction bonus by 2.5 up to 3. So that one ended up adding a pretty solid amount. So if I take it off, it gets a little janky. It only did a couple percent there. Why did I use that then? I don't remember, because I feel like that was making a really big difference for me earlier. But it was also doing some really weird things too. Like sometimes I take it off, put it back on, and then like, see, now it says I have 162% damage reduction. It gets a little weird, man. It gets a little weird. Let's take this off, put it back on. Bro, I cannot find this ring. There you are. Okay, yeah, now we're at 76%. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I guess I could take off the Goal Signet ring. I do like using it because I am at a light load, so, I mean, it gives me another 10% damage reduction. But, I mean, really, like I said, we go from 76 to 69. It's a 7% damage difference. I could easily do the, like, Rusted Heirloom. And look at that. It's more. It's more, right? So I'm having a hard time. Like, I guess if I wasn't under 50% where I'm competing the Rusted Heirloom versus the Goal Signet, like maybe then Goal Signet would be okay because, it's still giving me that damage bonus or damage reduction when I'm at 100% HP. But because I'm below 50%, like the Rusted Heirloom is a smidge better. If I put on the Hardened Coil, we're right here, 80%. So, I mean, I might put on the Hardened Coil now. Now we're just at a flat 80% thanks to that one stack of bulwark. Whenever we pop the Challenger, we're going to be at another like 3 stacks, right? So a lot more damage reduction. And I mean, I do have in another 5% in the Broken Heart. I could probably take that out. Actually, that is range crit damage. Oh, that is completely wrong, dude. That's supposed to be melee crit damage because we have a lot of melee crit chance, right? So if we look on the left side, melee crit chance, 25%. That's just pretty reasonable amount, right? Because like I said, this one gives us another 15%. The Berserker's Crest, increasing our melee attack speed by 10% and reduce melee stamina cost. So we can do a lot of charge attacks kind of quick back to back, because we also have the Brawler's Pride, which increases our melee attack speed by 15%, and then that critical chance by 5% as well. So like, you know, we can really get up some like fast attack speeds. And I think honestly, I'm going to take out this damage reduction one. Hopefully it doesn't completely miff me. And then, you know, let's just do more crit chance. We'll just add another 10% on top of it. Now we're at 76% damage reduction, but I mean, really, I think it'll be fine. Now we're going to take on Keula. Honestly, it's probably one of the best bosses we could fight, the as far as like mini bosses go, right? Because she's in your face. There's a lot of like give and take between her attacks into your attacks. And she's like, you know, like I said, in your face, allows you to do melee attacks. That's why my dog hasn't been doing anything. Oh, good boy, no. Oh, no. All right, well, maybe when I get grabbed, it'll reset. Yeah, that's part of the reason I'm saying, like, this setup is honestly, like, not going to be super efficient because of, like, it's so melee-focused right now. It's only going to be good against some bosses. Some of your enemies in different worlds, like some of the Yesha areas, or not Yesha, sorry. Some of the Losum areas where you got your flying Fae and stuff, not going to be good against. Beginning section of Narud with the flying robots, also not going to be amazing. Even some of the flying, like zombie guys, not going to be amazing, because that's just the downside of melee. You could obviously swap it for a ranged melee weapon if you really wanted to, but I don't know, man. Yeah, here we go. In a moment now. I do actually really like this fight because of that kind of give-take flow to it, right? Ooh. Juggernaut. I hope reduce the damage. I also got points in Untouchable so that I, you know, I'm not missing everything, or not missing everything, so that I have better dodge windows, right? Because we are so fast, I kind of like the idea of the kind of good, fast evades that are dodging things. We dodge that. Dog is still not here, which is actually a fairly big nerf for us, because our dog is actually doing reasonable damage with the attack dog buff. And, you know, I could have him actually doing the buff, which is increasing how much damage I'm doing. So, yeah. That's kind of a bummer. I'm a little sad about that. Let's just hit it with a slow... Oh, I don't want to be here in the water. Got hit. That wasn't too much damage, honestly. But we also have the Song of Aether, so that's reducing enemy damage as well. That is part of the reason I like taking it. It's because with us having like so little health, and we're already pretty maxed out on our damage reduction, being able to reduce enemy damage is really good for us. Just because it's another way of making sure we don't take too much damage, right? Now we use this. We got to watch out for her attack when she shows up, though. We got enough stamina, so let's layer on some charge attacks. I didn't expect her to do that spin around. Oopsies. Kind of thought I would recover in time for that attack. I was wrong. But now we'll pull out the dog and add the dog into the equation, right? But is Valorous beads like decent? It's really niche, man. I mean, you know, there's always an argument to be said, like, you know, not every amulet, ring, weapon, whatever is meant to be like some top tier competitive thing. I mean, perfect world, yes, you know, it would be, but that's just not going to be the case, right? That's just not how it's going to work. And so you got to consider that, like, maybe this is just the amulet that somebody has because they're just now getting through things in the game. They don't have other options, you know, things like that. But God, I keep messing up that last one. I'm just a little too early. But is it decent? I don't know, man. Like, I like it, but I don't know that I would take it over one of the other ones, right? Like over Downward Spiral or something, because what is Downward Spiral doing for me? Downward Spiral is increasing my melee damage, which I'm doing melee. It's also increasing my melee attack speed, which is something that I'm leaning into with my rings. So, like, it's basically, at the end of the day, it's doing everything that I'm doing with Downward Spiral, just differently, right? So, like, is there even a point to me using this? I mean, the argument could be made that, like, with this setup, I've got, you know, more movement speed, which is nice. That is a nice bonus, a difference. I'm also running a light load, which is different than my my other setup where I'm at a medium roll. So, like, god dang it, my so much for... I should have warmed up before doing this. Right, like I said, like, I don't know. I don't know that it's necessarily better, that it's, like, good. It's not amazing, I'll tell you that. But it's really hard to justify a lot of rings and amulets that don't actively, like, do some damage increases. They have to have really big utility bonuses, and I'm not sure this one's got it, right? Yeah, I don't know, dude. But that's pretty much it. I mean, it works okay here. It's fun. It's something different. Something to use at a lower difficulty, I would say. Not going to be amazing for every apocalypse run type thing that you're trying to do, right? Let's get up here in the safe spot, activate my dog's ability. Let's use this as well, get us a damage bonus, and then roll over there. Chop, chop, chop. Yeah. As far as traits go, I mean, I did a lot of my standard kind of apocalypse things, right? It was like, I didn't do Fortify this time because my armor's really low. So Fortify is good if your armor value is actually high. But because my armor value is actually not very high, there was no reason for me to take it. Bark Skin was actually better this time. I don't think the difference was very much, but it was better for us. So I did Bark Skin instead of Fortify. And then, you know, max out Vigor, Regrowth, Triage, so we've got some good, like, kind of passive regen going on. I did max out the Stamina and Stamina Regeneration because, you know, once I get in there, I'm kind of non-stop sprinting, so I want to be able to, like, sprint at max speed for as long as possible, followed up by lots of dodges. I'm not necessarily doing a lot of charged attacks, but when I do, it is kind of nice, right? Maybe I'll kind of swap something real quick. Like, I don't know, man. I could try and do some, like, range stuff, so, like, some ideas I've had with, Yeah, I just started rambling on for a very long time there. That ultimately led to nothing, completely disrupted everything. So, that's pretty much it, man. The moral of the story is Beads of the Valorous really worth it? Is it okay? It's okay. It's not amazing. It can be pretty fun. I don't know that I would really use it over one of the other, like, low health amulets, when ultimately I end up, like, through combinations of rings and amulets kind of stacking up the same things, right? Like, I'm still trying to stack up damage reduction. I'm still trying to somehow build up damage. Like, it's all ultimately the same thing, but in a way it just feels a little more inefficient. Though, I mean, you do get the, like, movement speed and stuff. You know, tough to say. Tough to say. Depends on your flavor. What am I doing here? Don't worry about it. Thanks for checking out the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. You know, tell me what you think. Have you used Beads of the Valorous? Did you find it fun? Ideas on what to do with it, you know, outside of maybe regular restriction cord things, right? Maybe it was Death Wish. I don't know. Yeah, but until the next one, take care.